Hello, Precise Pilates people. Welcome to week 3 of our term online. We're going to do some glute activation work and look at abduction and adduction today. So we're going to actually start laying down in supine. We're going to start connecting to the glutes. Now for this session, you may like to use your magic circle if you have one, but this can always be swapped out for a band and or a chi ball if you'd like to change up the exercises, and I'll let you know when. If you're dealing with any injuries of the hip itself, you may choose to leave the equipment out completely and just work with body weight and muscle activation. So let's begin laying down. Come down to your mat, laying on your back. Please use a towel or a pillow behind the head. If you want to reposition the neck alignment and take pressure off of the neck and shoulders. So let's start with straight legs. Straighten out both legs. If you need to pop something under your lower back to make you a little bit more comfortable, you may find a little towel or pillow helps if you've got any low back pain. Now we're going to start with glute max activation, so let the legs just flop out to the sides. Place one hand under each buttocks for me, and you should be feeling soft glute max at the moment, nothing switched on. Relax the shoulders, take a nice soft breath in. Now on a deep sharp huff out, you're going to squeeze your glute max muscles. So exhale and sharply squeeze the glute max. On an inward breath, gently let them go. Now if you'd like to also work pelvic floor in this activation, you can. On a deep exhale, a huff, you're going to snatch both your glutes and your pelvic floor as if you were jumping up in the air. On the inward breath, slowly release the glutes and allow the pelvic floor to relax. We're going to go for 10. Exhale, sharp huff, squeeze and snatch. Inhale, slowly release. Good, so we're looking for glute max activation on the same, at the same time, the same amount each side. So feel with your hands under those buttock muscles that you go from soft to rock hard at the same time. And you can measure with your hands, are you roughly the same amount of activation on each side? Good. Now you can see from me that my pelvis gently lifts in the air when my glutes are firing. That's a nice way to tell. You want to keep the quadriceps minimal. You will get a small amount of activation, but I want you to be really focused on the back of your body, your glutes. Good. Let's make this our last one. Lovely. Now let's just take it to the right side. We're keeping the left side relaxed. So have a little squeeze around. Make sure that left side does not activate. On the sharp huff, huff, you can snatch your pelvic floor as you squeeze your right butt cheek nice and strongly. Good. Inhale, slowly release. Let's go for 10. Exhale and inhale, release. Good. Keep it going. Now, like I said, your left side does not want to activate. We would like to try and keep this exercise only right side. And we're testing with our hands. Can we get the glute to fire almost to 100%? Is that signal a little bit lazy? Do you require a little bit more concentration to get the right glute to fire on that deep huff? Good. Once we've done 10 on one side, we'll take it to the left. So the right side is now dormant. We want the left side to squeeze and fire as we huff out. Adding to that, we can add that pelvic floor fast twitch contraction, as if we were jumping in the air on a trampoline, about to sneeze or laugh. Good. Checking with your hand that you're able to activate your left side, the same amount of activation as your right, and the same time as that sharp huff. Good. So we're contracting the glute max, the biggest of the gluteal muscles. Make this your last one. Relax both sides of the buttocks, slide your hands on out, place your hands on your pelvis, and slide your feet back in. Good. Come back to that bent knee position. So we should feel that glute max is able to contract. Lovely. From this position, we're actually going to work through a neutral spine setting before we add on to that glute max contraction. So let's begin with some lovely bent knee fallouts. Now we'd like neutral spine in this position, hands on the pelvis, keeping the pelvic bones level Think about your pelvic floor activation on your inward breath and gently lift. That's to squeeze the front and back passage muscles without squeezing the glute max. Good. Adding on your exhale, focus on your abdominals flattening from hip bone to hip bone. Zipper up to a skinny pair of denim jeans from pubic bone to belly button. Do the button up at the top to keep those abdominals flat. The lower back is not imprinted onto the mat. We're going to inhale as one knee drops out to the side in our bent knee fallouts, concentrating on keeping the pelvis level. Exhale, draw the knee back into center. Inhale, one knee drops out to the side. Exhale, use your abdominals to draw the knee back to center. Good, inhale and exhale. Now as the knee drops out to the side, you will feel the buttocks muscles starting to work to keep the pelvis level as the knee folds out to the side. That's an anatomical response. We want the abdominals and neutral spine to be the focus. If this does aggravate your hip in any way, you can go for your leg slides as an alternate exercise. Good, just be mindful that the pelvic floor and the abdominals are working. Let's make this our last one. Beautiful, from this position, come back to center, stay switched on. Float your hands directly over your chest. Now we're going to draw the shoulders down away from the earlobes, and we're now going to work into arm prep. Exhale as you slowly reach overhead. Now the rib cage wants to sink in and down as the shoulders glide down your back. Good, inhale, hands over chest. If you need, bring one hand onto the rib cage. As you exhale to reach overhead, sink the ribs in and down using a little bit of pressure through your palms. Check that your shoulders gliding down your back away from your ear. Inhale, hand over chest. Single side arm prep if you need, checking underneath your rib cage that your obliques are firing to keep your spine within that nice and neutral position. You can check a few reps on each side. Again, as you exhale to reach overhead, push your palm down into your rib cage. Exhale, sink the rib in and down, shoulder from your earlobe. Both arms, exhale, reach overhead. Inhale, hands over chest, possibly down towards the hip bones. Exhale up and over. Beautiful. You could turn this into a circle if you feel like the shoulder can accommodate. Exhale to reach overhead, sink the ribs in and down. Sweep the arms wide around the body, hands towards the hip bones. Inhale, hands over the chest. Exhale, reach overhead, sink the ribs in and down. Now make sure the ribs stay down as we sweep the arms wide towards the hip bones. Inhale, hands over chest. Beautiful. You could even think about squeezing the armpit muscle as you sweep the arms to your sides and to the hip bones. And now you're utilizing a little bit more of that serratus anterior too. Good. Let's do 3 more. You can always come back to that up and down arm prep movement if you need. Last one. Rest your hands on your pelvis, switch off the pelvic floor and rest the abdominals just for that short break. Wonderful. Now that you're feeling a little bit more in control of your connection, let's move into our toe taps. So we're going to switch back on. Inhale, pelvic floor. Exhale, zipper into those skinny denim jeans. We'd like to control the spine within neutral, hands on the pelvis. We're going to exhale, float 1 foot from the mat, knee lifts above your hip bone. Now hold here and check your tabletop is aligned knee over hip. From this point, exhale, tap the toe. Inhale to float, knee over hip. Exhale, tap, and inhale, float. One hand could be resting on your rib cage, one hand in your lower back, checking for that nice neutral spine, that draw down of rib to hip to keep the obliques on, the flattening of the abdominals along that T-zone. Good. If you're working single leg, continue on for 6 more on this side before you alternate for 10 reps on the other side. If you're working in double leg tabletop, alternate your toe taps for me. Keep thinking about that nice neutral spine, the draw down of rib to hip, the flattening of the abdominals at the T-zone. Tapping further from your buttocks makes this more challenging. Don't just slam the foot into the mat. I'd like you to move being really conscious of the abdominals and the spine within neutral. Good. My double leg toe tappers. Let's make 4 more on each side. Single leg, we should have switched to the alternate leg now. Working through your toe taps. Shoulders back and down. Limit that stress within the neck and the jaw. Double leg, let's make this our final one. Come back to your tabletop, feet down one at a time, or come back to single leg, knee to chest, if you'd like to just release the lower back. We're going into single leg circle next. You can come back to single leg tabletop positioning with the T-zone on. Now, if you'd like, stick with the bent knee variation of this exercise. You can turn the leg out from the hip joint itself, knee alignment over that pelvis. If you'd like the straight leg variation of this exercise, you can straighten out the leg, keep the turn out from the hip to the toe. Now we want to keep the pelvis level. We sweep the leg down and out to the side, exhale, inhale around and in. Keep your focus on your rib cage staying drawn in and down, the back remaining within neutral, the pelvis feeling very, very stable with that T-zone connection. Press the supporting leg into the mat, shoulders back and down. Release the tension off the neck. Hands can remain on the pelvis or by your sides. Good. Let's reverse the circle. Come to the top of the circle here. Sweep the leg out to the side and down. Inhale around and in. Keep the circle nice and small if you'd like to remain within this neutral spine positioning, and you find that taking a wider circle drops that T-zone connection off. Push the supporting leg into the mat. Have that small amount of glute medius activation. Shoulders relaxed. Neck and jaw relaxed. Make this your last circle on this side. Turn the leg back to its single leg tabletop hold. Then place the foot down. Let's alternate sides. Have a little break or come straight up into single leg tabletop. Rotate that knee alignment out from the pelvis. Keep the knee and the pelvis aligned. If you want, stick with the bent knee variation or straighten out the leg for the straight leg single circle. We're going to keep the pelvis level with the T-zone working. Sweep the leg down and out to the side, exhale. Inhale around and in. Down and out to the side, exhale. Inhale around and in. Pressing the supporting leg lightly into the mat, switching on a little bit of glute medius here. Good. Shoulders relaxed. Neck and jaw relaxed. Keep your circle small, the size of a teacup if you need. A larger circle requires more T-zone to support the neutral pelvis and neutral spine. Let's make this our last circle in this direction. Come to the top of your circle, check your legs still turned out. Let's reverse out to the side and down. Exhale, inhale up and in. Good. Again, I'm checking all the time that my neck and jaw are relaxed. My hands are in my T-zone consistently, on my rib cage to check my obliques, in my lower back to check my neutral spine. Good. A larger circle requires more T-zone control on that pelvis. Keep those hip bones level. Last circle here. Come back to the top of the circle. Come back to single leg tabletop pause. Keep the T-zone on and then rest the foot down. Lovely. Good work. Have a little break. Now we're going to move into flexion of the spine. We're going to be looking at our ab curl position. For those of you that do not want to curl, you can come back to your lift foot exercise, starting with 10 repetitions on each side. And if you'd like, then move into your lift and extend, 10 repetitions each side. We're going to be performing our ab curl positioning with our hands either behind our head if you'd like to support the neck, but I'm going to move into a little bit of a different variation. I'm going to move the pillow from behind my head because I want my head to float from the mat. You can keep the pillow where it is if you'd like. Again, you could have this positioning if you'd like. I'm going to be looking at a hammock shape. So what I want to do is brace by placing my palms facing each other, interlocking at my fingers. Now I'd like my elbows to be quite wide, and I'd like to think about drawing a hammock really tense across elbow to elbow. Now I want to keep my light tuck of chin to chest, and I'm switching back onto my T-zone. Taking a deep breath in, I'd like to think about my pelvic floor and then exhale to connect to that T-zone line. On my next exhale, I'm going to begin sinking my ribs down towards my hips, scooping out my ball of abdominals to peel my upper body from the mat. Now look at my neck alignment here. I've got a nice supple neck. My chin is lightly tucked to chest. My elbows are really drawn wide to keep my hammock tight. Inhale to lower upper body down. If you find that this causes too much tension in your neck, come back to your usual ab curl one. From this position, exhale to curl. Ribs sink towards those hips to scoop out that ball of abdominals to peel the upper body from the mat. Good. Inhale to lower head and shoulders down. Exhale to curl. We want to connect rib to hip, flattening or scooping out that ball of abdominals. Inhale to lower. Good. Exhale. And inhale. Now you can always come back to your normal ab curl one positioning, but I'd like you to check in with your lower back. You should find that your lumbar spine is not completely compressed into the mat. We want to prevent the pelvis from rotating back, going into that posterior pelvic tilt. For those of you that want to add on, single leg tabletop could be your next destination. We could exhale to curl, ribs sinking towards the hip bones, scoop out that ball of abdominals, inhale to lower. You want to check that your knee alignment over your hip in single leg tabletop does not mean that your pelvis tilts backwards with the weight of your leg lifted from the mat. Keep that light tuck of chin to chest. Try and keep the neck supple. Try to keep this movement within the rib to hip, the spine. Good, so we've got flexion here. After we've done 4 or 5 in single leg, we can alternate to the opposite side for 4 or 5 in this single leg positioning. Try and keep your elbows wide. Try to prevent pulling on your head and neck if you're using your hands behind your head here. Using this hammock positioning will help to train the neck extensors, but if you find that your neck, your shoulders are really tensing, you're losing that nice strong connection to a neutral neck, you can always bring hands back behind the head. For those of you that have done 4 or 5 on each single leg tabletop, you could now have 4 or 5 in double leg. Again, you want the weight of both legs off the mat, not to tilt the pelvis back. You could still have your hammock braced arms, pull against the fingers, keep the elbows wide, and try to think about the ribs drawing towards the hips in this position. Again, checking in that we're not compressing through the lower back. We want to prevent the pelvis from tilting backwards. Once we've done 4 or 5, we can bring knees to chest and have a little rest before we move on. Good. So we're going to look now at our bicycle leg, which is a variation of our toe taps. Now we're moving away from abdominals shortly, but I really want you to have a nice strong connection before we start utilizing our band into our abduction series, because you want a really strong T-zone to prevent the workload being passed to the back itself and the lumbar spine region. So bicycle legs is where we're going next. For those of you that want to just repeat single leg toe taps, you can. Now your bicycle leg variation is adding in a static ab curl positioning, and instead of tapping the toe to the mat, we're actually going to go into an extension, so almost lift and extend. So from this position, we're switching on with the T-zone, and we're coming into single leg tabletop with hands floating over the chest. Now I'm going to come into my ab curl positioning. I'm going to exhale to curl, sinking the ribs towards the hips to scoop out those abdominals. My hands are reaching past my hip bones. I'm going to exhale to tap the toe, inhale to float, and I can just stick within my toe taps if I'd like. Now if I want to turn this into a bicycle leg, instead of tapping the toe, I'm going to extend and lower. Good, and then inhale, come back to tabletop. Exhale to extend and lower, inhale to tabletop. So for those of you that want to work into half your bicycle leg, like so, in single leg, you can work 10 on each side to toe tap variation or the lift and extend variation. For those of you that want to work in your double leg tabletop positioning, obviously come into your ab curl one. You want the ribs drawn to hips and this scooped out flattened abdominal bowl. And you can either work with your toe taps, keeping that nice strong chin to chest, or you can go for your extension back to tabletop. Extend the leg from the hip joint, exhale to lower, inhale knee over hip. Keep that draw down of rib to hip, keep reaching the arms past the hip bones. Keep that light tuck of chin to chest. Obviously, if you need to, one hand can always support the weight of the skull and the neck, particularly if you're getting any tension or pain within the jaw. You can always bring the head back to the mat and work within your lift and extend, or your toe taps with the head down. Now we're really training this deep core connection as well as the pelvis within stability. We've got this flexion, so we're training our abdominals within endurance, bloody hell we speak. And you want the draw down of your rib to hip to really reach those arms past the hip bones. For those of you that are still working, go for 2 more. If you're in double leg tabletop, that's 2 on each side. Single leg, make this your final one. Come back to tabletop, bring the knees to chest or feet down completely, lovely. Now your last exercise is going to be putting together that exercise and your arm circles from your arm prep. This is our last abdominal really focused exercise before we move into all of the glute stuff. So you can either come back to your arm circles if you're completely fatigued. You can try this exercise in a single leg setting, and if you'd like the full version with me in double leg tabletop. So come back to the mat, have a little shift around with the pelvis and then switch back onto T-zone. For the single leg tabletop variation, I'll show you here. You're coming into single leg tabletop and you're going to come into that static ab curl 1 position or hundreds prep. So we're going to exhale to curl, sweep the ribs towards the hips to scoop out the abdominals, reach the hands past the hip bones. Now keeping this knee alignment, just make sure you've got good rib to hip and flattened abdominals. Now just going into the arm circle, you're going to sweep the arms overhead, exhale, sweep the arms wide, squeezing the armpit shut, hands towards the hip bones, inhale, hands over chest. That could be just the arm motion. Reach overhead, exhale, sweep the arms wide towards the hip bones, inhale, hands over chest. You can always support the hand with behind the head if you need. Adding in the leg positioning, as you exhale, we're going to reach the leg into leg extension, sweeping the arms overhead into arm prep. Sweep the arms wide towards the hip bones, squeezing the armpit shut. Inhale, hands over chest, knee over hip. That could be exhale, reach, sweep. Inhale, hand over chest, knee over hip. That could be your double leg stretch modified. If you'd like to, you could go for 5 of these on each tabletop leg before coming back to the mat to rest. And you can have a little rest in between. For those of you that want to work into double leg tabletop for this exercise, you're going to come into double leg tabletop with a nice safe spine positioning and flattened abdominals. And then you're going to come into your ab curl 1 or hundredth prep position. We're going to exhale to curl, sweep the ribs towards the hips, flatten those abdominals. Hands reach past the hip bones. Now just go for the arm prep motion, keep the knees aligned over the hip bones, flattened abdominals. Exhale to reach overhead, sink the ribs in and down. Sweep the arms wide, squeezing the armpit shut, hands towards the hip bones. Inhale, hands over chest. 1 more. Exhale, reach. Ribs want to sink in and down. Sweep the arms wide towards the hip bones. Inhale, hands over chest. Adding in double leg stretch if you'd like. Exhale to reach and extend. Squeeze your heels together. Inhale, hands, come back to the hip bones and over the chest. Exhale, reach, sweep. Knees to hips. Good. Exhale. Hands towards the hip bones, knees back to tabletop. Inhale, hands over chest. Exhale. And inhale. Press your heels together, particularly in that double leg extension. And notice that my legs are not dropping below 45. The deeper the extension and lower, the more the abdominals will have to brace the lumbar spine. So try not to take the legs too low. In fact, we want to be able to see our toes. Once you've done 5, working up to 10 if you'd like, of your double leg stretch, then you can come back to the mat by resting the head and shoulders down. Bring the knees towards the chest. Release the lumbar spine with a little bit of a roll either side, and then come back to the mat. Have a little bit of a switch off. So that was quite a strong abdominal workout. We're going to take a little break from those abdominals, and we're now going to move into our banded glute work. So for this, you could use your circle if you have a magic circle, or you could use an exercise band. Now we're going to look at our pelvic curl positioning first, utilizing this band. You don't have to if you don't want to, and I'm going to show you where to position the band. Roll onto your side, push yourself on up. So for this, I'm going to wrap the band over my thighs. Now I'm keeping the knees quite close together as I wrap and tie my band. I like a lot of tension to make the exercise strong. If you want to, you could have less tension on the band by bringing the knees a little bit further apart as you tie your band. Now once you've tied your band, you want to make sure that it's not on the kneecap itself and not high up on the thigh. You'll notice here it's just above the knees on that VMO setting that we have when we utilize the ball. We're going to go through pelvic curl and utilize outer thigh pulses to work into abduction, AB adduction. So for this, once you've tied your band, or if you're not using the band, fine, the circle goes in the same positioning with your feet through the circle. You're going to bring yourself back down to the mat. Shoulders relaxed away from the earlobes. Let the neck be nice and loose. Now in this positioning, widen your feet and your knees back to their normal alignment in supine, aligned to your ASISs, and notice there's already tension on the band. Now for this, I want you to think about a little bit of external rotation from the hip joint itself. So I'd like you to think about gently rotating the femur bone outwards through the hip joint and lightly through the knees, almost as if the knee wanted to align over your second and third toe. Good. Feel the tension on the band, has a little bit more intensity here, and you should already start to feel that something behind your pelvis is starting to work, and that will be a small amount of glute minimus and medius. For normal pelvic curl, you can go with the same cueing for this exercise. We're going to start with a neutral spine and switch on to T-zone. Once we've got T-zone connected, take a nice soft breath in. On an exhale, keeping that little rotation out from the hip joint, we're going to let the pelvis gently tilt back, releasing lumbar spine to the mat. Now keep that turn out from the hip joint, press into your heels, squeeze your glute max, push into your feet and begin to roll the pelvis from the mat. I want you to drive outwards through the femur and the knees into the band as you roll the lumbar spine, the mid back from the mat. Come to rest in your pelvic curl and take a deep breath in. Check, glutes, hamstrings, tension on the band is on. I feel that external rotation from the hip. Good. Now exhale, slowly melt back down through each vertebrae to the mat. Keep that external rotation on the band. Good, as we roll down, press through the heels, the second and third toe, keeping that nice strong connection to glutes and hamstrings. As we come back to the mat, inhale, come back to neutral, try not to lose that external rotation on the band. Good, let's tilt the pelvis back on the exhale, release the lumbar spine. Press into the heels and the second and third toe, squeeze your glutes, push into that external rotation on the band, and start to peel the pelvis, the lumbar spine, then mid back from the mat. Take a deep breath in at the top. Keep that tension on the band, keep the glutes, the hamstrings, that turn out working. Exhale, roll down. Now make sure the second and third toes still feel connected to the mat along with the heel. Roll back down through the spine. Inhale, float to neutral. Keep it going. Keep the turn out. Roll back. Squeeze the glutes, push into the band. Press into the heels, the second, the third toe. And roll on up. Without the band, you could be doing your normal pelvic curl. You could also be thinking about lifting up in neutral spine if you don't like the rolling or if it puts too much pressure on the back. So we really want to feel this external thigh connection moving into the glutes, the medius and the minimus, as well as glute max. Good, let's roll down. Lovely, let's add some outer thigh pulses. So we're going to roll on up just as we have done. We want that external rotation on the band all the way to the top. Take a deep breath in, hold. Keep that connection, second, third toe and heel. And now we're going to squeeze our glutes, push outwards into the band for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold the last one. Lovely. Take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, roll down. Keep that pressure on the band. I'm really, really teasing you all the way to the bottom. Keep that second and third toe connected to the mat. Don't roll out through the feet. And then roll to neutral. Inhale. Come back to that small amount of external rotation on the band. Good. Now roll back through the hips. Exhale. Lumbar spine on the mat. Keep that external rotation from the thigh itself. Roll on up. You want to keep that second and third toe on the mat. Don't let the foot pronate out. At the top, hold for a deep breath in. Let's go for 5 pulses outwards. 5, 4, 3. Keep breathing. 2, 1. Hold the last one. Inhale and exhale deeply. Take a deep breath in, and then on the exhale, roll down, keeping that external pressure into the outer thigh and the glute connection, all the way to the bottom. Well, let's do last round on here. Good. Come back to that small amount of external rotation in neutral spine. Take a deep breath in. Tilt the pelvis back on the exhale. Squeeze your glute max. Don't forget that here. Keep that small amount of tension on the band through the external rotation of the femur as you roll on up. At the top, take a nice deep breath in. 5 more pulses. Deep breaths in and out. 5, 4. Keep the glutes up. 3, 2. Last one. Hold for a deep breath in and out. Think about keeping that second, third toe on the mat. Don't pronate out through the ankle. Deep breath in. And then exhale. Keep the tension on the band. Roll down. Whoa, you should be feeling this in your glutes and your hamstrings and your outer thighs. All the way to the bottom. Lovely. Gently come back to neutral. Release the tension on the band. Walk your feet in for a little rest. Good work. Lovely. So that's outer thigh abduction. Now you can keep the band where it is as we go into pendulum. For some of you that now want to work adduction, you could always take your chi ball, make sure it's fully inflated, and you could add it into your inner thigh. For those of you that have a magic circle, if the magic circle was previously over your thighs for your pelvic curl, you can now slot it in between your VMO, right about where the band is setting. I'm going to leave the band where it is, and I'm going to utilize my ball into my VMO now. This is optional. You don't have to have this for pelvic curl, but I think it's a nice balance of exercises for the inner and outer thigh. For pendulum, I'm going to bring my feet together, even if your feet are staying on the mat. Now, with this connection between your inner thighs and the ball, we're just lightly holding it before we begin the exercise. The squeezing comes on the return. You could be in double leg tabletop for this exercise too if you wish. Arms outstretched wide from the chest, palm facing up. I'm actually going to come up into double leg tabletop, but you can stay feet on the mat. Bring the feet, the heels, and the big toe together. Good. Now with the T-zone on, inhale both legs over one side of the body. We want to keep the upper body connected to the mat and relaxed. Squeeze to burst the inner ball. Exhale to scoop out through T-zone, the inner thigh working. Come back to center. Good. You should remain within the original placement on your mat. Don't walk yourself down. Inhale the legs over one side of the body. Get that ball a squeeze to burst. Exhale through T-zone, scoop out. Draw the legs back to center, utilizing that inner thigh connection on the ball. Good, let's keep it going. Inhale the legs over. Squeeze to burst. Exhale, bring the legs back to center, scooping out the T-zone. In the center, come back to just holding the ball. Lovely, inhale the legs over. The squeeze to burst is initiated on the exhale as we scoop out that T-zone to come back to center with the legs. Good. Now for those of you that are in double leg tabletop and would like to try a little bit something more, you can try for your double leg extension or single leg here if you'd like. We inhale the legs over first. Now we want to make sure that we're not straining through the back This takes a lot of strain into the side of the thigh and the hip joint. You can extend both legs, pressing into your heel and your ball, squeezing, exhale, returning both legs back to center and coming back to tabletop in the middle, just holding the ball. Or you could just extend the top leg. Inhale the legs over, keep the knees together, holding onto your ball. Extend the top leg, squeezing the balls together. In that inner thigh connection, sweep that straight leg back along the ceiling. Inhale to center. Inhale, return to center. So you could inhale the legs over. You could go for your double leg extension, squeezing your heels together, squeezing onto the ball, exhale, scoop out through T-zone, legs return to center, or just single leg extension in tabletop. Inhale the legs over, keeping the knees together, extend the top leg, squeeze the ball into the inner thigh, exhale, scoop out through T-zone. Good, let's do one more each side. You could choose which level you'd like here. I'm just giving you a little bit more. You can utilize that inner thigh connection with double legs extended if your back allows it. Or the single leg extension. Good, come back to center, bring knees to chest. You can pop the ball out, you can bring feet down one at a time and have a little rest. Good, now we're moving into side lying. Now for those of you that want to remain using the band throughout the side lying, you can leave the band where it is, or you can take the band away. Roll onto your side. Now as I explained here, using the band in your side lying clams is intensified. You don't want to promote any tension into the lower back. For those of you that do have a lower back condition, you can take the band away. I'm going to use the band to show you how you can intensify your clams, but by all means, you don't have to do this. You could just work normal clams. So bring yourself into side lying. The hips are at 45 degrees, alignment from knee to hip. Keeping the band where it is. Some of you can add a little bit more tension onto the band. If you find that the band is a little bit floppy, I'm going to do that here. The more tension on the band, the harder this workload will be. And equally, if you've got a stronger band, say a medium or a heavy, this workload is going to be extreme. So for those of you that want to add a little bit of something, start with a light band and less tension on the band when the knees are bent. Now we're going to go into normal clams. You can still use your normal clam with these cues. I've got my pillow here just to bring me into a little bit of a neutral alignment where my throat doesn't drown out my voice. From here, top hip bones rolled forwards. We want to now find our bottom waist. So on a deep exhale, push the top hip bone down to lift the bottom waist up. Now hands can stay here and check with T-zone and glutes in a moment. Clam one, we're going to squeeze our heels. If you're utilizing the band, as you exhale to open up, you'll notice that your range of motion is not as large. And in fact, you need to keep the heels squeezed and the top hip forwards. Inhale to close the clam. Simple. Squeeze the heels, exhale to open the clam, and inhale to close. Good. Squeeze, exhale, open, and inhale, close. Heel squeeze is still significant in the banded clam. In fact, we want to utilize it to switch on the glute medius as we now get a deeper intensity using the workload of the resistance of the band. I don't want your hip to roll back. So if you're using the band and you find that you need to pull your hip back to get your knee open, take away the band or loosen the band. Or think about keeping the hip gently drawn forwards and work with a smaller range. It's not about the range of motion, it's about the intensity of your glute work. This band is optional intensity. Clown one could be done without the band, and by all means, it's still a strong exercise. And if it's effective on getting that glute medius to fire and contract, that's what we want. So we're going to go for 12 reps. I'm already at 8. I've got 3 left. 9. Good. 10. Lovely. From here, I'm going to take it into my clam 2. So keeping the knees aligned in 45, I'm going to float the feet at hip height. I make sure I still got my bottom waist, that's my oblique connection from rib to hip, the top hip bone pressed down. From this position, I'm going to squeeze my heels, exhale, open up my clam, and inhale to close. Again, I don't want the top hip bone to roll back, particularly if I'm using this banded variation, or my glute minimus on the bottom leg hates this clam to banded. It switches on the glute at quite a strong intensity, so you may find that you don't get to your 12 repetitions. That's okay. You may want to stop at 7 or 8 and have a little rest. You want to make sure you're feeling the workload in the glutes. You want to make sure that the abdominals are flattening, the bottom waist is lifted, and you're not gritting your teeth or jaw in this exercise. Those would be signs that you're struggling and that the band is too intense and you're losing the focus, which is pelvic floor and T-zone, and glute medius, glute minimus. Final 2. Oh, it's really strong. Good, rest the legs down. Beautiful. Let's take both legs out long into double leg lift. Now we want to make sure top hip bone still forwards. We do manually switch on pelvic floor here. So take a soft breath in to lift the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, really think about flattening those abdominals from hip bone to hip bone. Now you want to make sure your toes are just in front of you. You should look down and see that big toenail here. Squeezing the heels and inner thighs together. I'd like you to lengthen out the legs. Think about me pulling them away from your hip bones. Keep the legs long. Inner thighs and heels, squeeze. Exhale, double leg lift, and inhale to lower. Squeeze, exhale, double leg lift, inhale to lower. Now we want to make sure that we're driving our top hip into our top rib cage. This exercise can be done with the circle between your, just above your ankles on your shins. And I've done that in a little video with a lower body magic circle workout, which is also on the Precise Pilates YouTube channel. Keep that top hip bone drawing into the top rib cage as you squeeze and fire your inner thigh and heel connection. Good, exhale, double leg lift, inhale to lower. Beautiful, let's make this our final one. We're gonna hold it at the top. Relax this top shoulder, breathe in and out, find your balance. Now for those of you that want to, you can add a little bit of a dynamic movement in some little foot kicks. We want to keep our top hip bone drawn into the top waistline and keep our double leg lift floating from the mat. I'm going to kick gently. I'm still squeezing my inner thigh towards one another and I'm kicking in and out, huffing, inhaling. Little kicks. Good, I can feel my waistline starting to fatigue. I want to keep my rib and my hip connection on top, and I want to keep my inner thigh squeezed together. Try and keep yourself floating on that bottom hip bone. Let's do 2 more. Inhale and exhale. Bring the feet back together and then gently bring the feet back to the mat. Feel that you fatigued your waistline there and have a little rest, bending the knees back to 45. Beautiful. Good. Now I'm going to go into zigzag. You can use the band for this one here if you choose. You don't have to. And if you want to alternate this exercise out, you can instead change this for your straight leg raise. So I'm going to keep the bottom leg bent at 45. The top leg is long. Now for this exercise, I'm actually going to get rid of the band to show you. I want you to make sure you can get the movement. So you want to think about a chair being positioned at the end of your mat, and you're going to run your foot up the leg of the chair, across the seat and up the back of the chair. So we're creating a zigzag pattern. Now this has internal and external rotation at the hip joint, so we're utilizing abduction and adduction of the hip. I want to make sure my bottom waist is lifted, my top hip is forwards, and I've got my transverse band flattening from hip bone to hip bone. I'm going to float the leg at hip height, and I want to make sure I've got a little rotation in of the whole leg from the hip itself. Now I'm starting on the seat of the chair, so I'm going to sweep the leg forwards, inhale, And I'm going to run my leg down, exhale the front of the chair leg, and then back up to the seat. I'm going to squeeze my glute max, inhale as I take my leg back. Now I'm going to turn my toes up towards the ceiling, exhale up the back of the chair, and down. Come back to the seat, turn the toes down. Inhale, sweep the leg forwards. Exhale, down the chair leg, and up to the seat. Good. Exhale, squeeze my glute max as I take my foot back. Turn my toes up to the ceiling, exhale up the back of the chair, and down. Turn the toes back down, inhale along the seat. Exhale down, and up that chair leg. Good. Sweep the leg back, squeezing the glute max, take a breath in. Turn the toes on up, exhale up, and down. Turn the toes down, inhale along the seat. Exhale down the chair leg, and back up to the seat. Good. Squeeze my glute max, push my heel back, take a breath in. Turn the toes on up, exhale up, and down. Good. Turn the toes down. One more. Inhale, sweep along the seat. Exhale down, and up. Good. Squeeze my glute max, push my heel back, take a breath in. Turn the toes up, exhale up, and down. Good. Rest that leg down. Excellent. So there's your zigzag. You can do it with the band, but I want you to make sure you get that nice zigzag motion before you add the band in, hence why I took the band off. Beautiful. From this, let's finish with our inner thigh lift. We can either have our leg bent at 90 degrees and the inside of the shin and foot resting on the mat, the bottom leg straight, or if this allows it, you can bend your knee and place your sole of the foot on the mat. And you can hold on to your shin if you'd like here. You want to drive your knee outwards, and this may not be compatible with your hip joint. So in fact, you can come back to this variation with the inner shin and foot on the mat. Now we are connecting to the bottom leg, so straighten out the bottom leg, and now think about your inner thigh connection here. The top hip bone still gently rotated forwards, press down to lift the bottom waist up. You can switch on your transverse band on your exhale by flattening those abdominals. You can hold on to the front of your foot here, onto your knee or shin, whatever feels good. We're going to point out through that bottom leg, take a deep breath in. On an exhale, squeeze your inner thigh, push your ankle up towards the ceiling. Inhale to lower. Squeeze, exhale, press it up, and inhale to lower. Good. Squeeze, exhale, and inhale. Beautiful. Up and down. Up and down. Lovely. Beautiful. Good. Excellent. Your inner thigh wants to squeeze as you drive that inside of the ankle up towards the ceiling. Keep the body nice and still. You can always add some padding under that bottom hip bone if you need. Let's make this our final two. And one. Relax. Good. Bend both legs to 45. Push yourself up. Let's change sides. So for those of you that did use the band in your climb series and you'd like to continue adding it in here, make sure you bring your band back onto your knees. Just above your kneecap on your VMO. Bring yourself down to 45 for climb 1, climb 2. So climb 1, climb 2. Top hip bone gently rolled forwards. Press down to lift the bottom waist on up. Good. From this positioning, make sure that as you squeeze your heels together, you're actively flattening your transverse band switching on. Good. Now remember, we don't want the top hip bone to rotate back, so as we press the heels together, switch on the glute medius, exhale, open up against the clam. Now if you're using the band as resistance, keep the top hip bone forwards, inhale to close, squeeze, exhale, open, inhale to close. Good. So we're working for 12, clam 1. For those of you that find that the band is too much, you can take the band away. But try and stay balanced. If you used it on one side, please try and use it on the other. You don't want your top hip to rotate back. Remember that with the band, your clam could have a smaller range. As long as you feel the glute medius working, and now the side of the thigh also interacting with the band's resistance. Beautiful. Keep the focus on the glute medius. Try not to open out through the spine to get a bigger motion. Good. Final 2. Last one. I'm going to float the feet off the mat for clam 2. Remember that we want to keep that top hip bone pushed down, bottom waist up. Keeping the feet floating at about hip height, we squeeze the heels to activate glute medius and minimus. And then we exhale, open up the clam. Inhale to close. You want to check, bottom waist is lifted. Abdominals feel like they're flattening along that T-zone line. Again, the band has a smaller range of motion through the resistance. We want to feel like we're really working within the range of neutral spine, so don't let the hip rotate back. My glute minimus hates clam 2 banded. It fatigues really early, so if you find you cannot get to 12 reps here, you may just work to the few reps that you can do, or take the band away. Good. We've got 3. Squeeze, exhale, open, inhale, close. Last one. Woo, close the clam, rest the legs down. Have a rest. Shoot both legs out long for your double leg lift. Now you want to make sure top hip bone's forwards. Again, your circle could be between your shins, just above your ankle, if you want to interact with that here. Switch on, inhale, lift pelvic floor. Exhale, flatten those abdominals from hip bone to hip bone. Now I want you to lengthen out your legs, pressing your heels together. Really think about me pulling your legs away from your hip bones. Squeeze your heels and inner thighs. Exhale, double leg lift. Inhale to lower. Try not to roll back. Keep that top hip bone forwards. If you need to pop some padding under that bottom hip, you can do so. Since this is an oblique-based exercise, you could always come back to your bent knee forelats in supine laying on your back. You could go for your oblique curl if you want to. You don't have to do this one here. There are many optional exercises. Squeeze the heels and the inner thighs to come into double leg lift, please. Top hip moving into the top rib cage so that we feel the obliques are firing and side lying. Good. We've got 2, working to the 12. Now on this last one, we're going to hold that rib to hip connection. We want that top waist to feel worked. We can either hold and breathe in balance, or you can add your fluttering kicks. In and out. Flutter those kicks. Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. Keep that draw of rib to hip. Good, just fluttering through the feet. Good. Now you want to feel like that top waistline is fatiguing. The top shoulder is relaxed. Keep squeezing through the inner thighs. Keep that draw of rib to hip on top. Flutter, flutter, kick, kick. Good. Squeeze the inner thighs towards one another. Try to use that inner thigh connection. Last one. Bring the feet together, rest the legs down. Feel that the side lying oblique muscles are fatigued, have a little rest. Now for your zigzag, again, I'm going to remove my band. You want to make sure you get the motion of the exercise before you add on to the band here. So start with that. Bottom leg is bent at 45, the top leg is long. Before you take it from the mat, top hip bone forwards, press the top hip bone down to lift the bottom waist. Take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, flattening through the abdominals at the T-zone line, float the leg at hip height. Now it's in line with you. We want that rotation gently down from the hip joint to the foot. We're going to start by sweeping along that seat of the chair for zigzag. Inhale, sweep the leg forwards. Now exhale, toes down towards the ground, and then back up to the seat of the chair. Push the heel behind you, squeeze your glute max, inhale gently. Turn the toes on up, exhale up, and down the back of the chair. Turn the toes back down, inhale, sweep forwards. Good, exhale, toes down that front chair leg and up. Good, press the heel back, squeeze the glute max to come into hip extension. Inhale, turn the toes on up, exhale up, and down. Bottom waist stays up. Turn the toes down, inhale, sweep forwards along the chair. Exhale, down and up. Sweep the leg back, squeeze your glute max, inhale, turn the toes on up, exhale up, and down, good. Along the seat of the chair, toes down, inhale, sweep forwards. Exhale, down and up. Good. Sweep the leg back, squeeze the glute max, inhale, toes on up, and down. Let's do one more. Toes down, sweep forwards, inhale. Exhale, down and up. Inhale, push the heel back, squeeze the glute max. Toes up, exhale up and down. Beautiful. Come back to level, rest the legs down. Good job. Now the top leg is going to bend either into that 90-degree angle with the shin resting on the mat, the bottom leg straight, or if it allows it, bend at the knee, place the sole of the foot on the mat. You can hold onto your ankle, push the knee on out if you'd like, whatever you choose. The bottom leg is straight for our inner thigh lift. The top hip is still gently rolled forwards. You still want your bottom waist. You can switch on the exhale to flattening at that transverse band. Now point out through the bottom foot, take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, squeeze your inner thigh, push the inside of your ankle towards the ceiling. Inhale to lower. Exhale, squeeze and push. Good. Try to keep this top knee pushed out if it's in this foot position. Otherwise, you can always come back to the mat to rest the foot down. Push the heel on up and down. Good. Lovely. Good. Lovely. Final three. Push the heel up and lower. Exhale. Inhale, your final one. Lovely. Come back to the mat. Beautiful. Bend both knees to 45. Let's push ourselves onto our side. We're going to come into full-point kneeling for pigeon. So, come into your full-point kneeling box. Have yourself positioned. I'm just going to plug in my laptop so it doesn't die, so stay right there. Beautiful. From your full-point kneeling box, we're going to do a lovely pigeon position. We've done a lot of work on the glutes and the hips itself. If pigeon is not for you, you can come to lay on your back in supine and do your 4-point glute stretch instead. From this positioning, shoulder is aligned over the palm, shoulders are drawn down. Now we're going to switch onto the T-zone, take a nice soft breath in to lift the pelvic floor, and on the exhale, flatten through those abdominals. Imagine you're lifting the tummy off the mat and drawing it inside the front of the pelvis. Now the tailbone wants to lengthen down towards your heels. Don't arch through your lower back in this exercise, in this stretch, sorry. We don't really want to add any pressure into the lumbar spine. So we're going to start by lengthening one leg out behind us. Now, just like you would in your swimming positioning, try to keep that nice neutral spine. We're going to cross the ankle over the supporting foot or shin, and then on a deep exhale, we're going to start to push away through the palms and slide the leg on back. Now, as you come down onto that bottom shin, you might find that it's tucked quite neatly in towards you. It might be slightly more open. You want to come to the point where you can bend your forearms, cross over your palms and rest your forehead forwards so you can relax onto the mat. If you haven't yet met the mat with that back knee, you can bend the back knee, relax the back foot and place it down to limit your stretch. Relax your forehead forwards and take some deep breaths in and out. With every inhale, allow the upper body to round forwards, and with every exhale, allow the body to sink further down to open up the side of the hip and stretch the glute of that bottom underlying leg. Deep inhales and exhales here, and allow the body to stretch the hips and the glute. Again, this may not feel good for you, and if you get any pain within the hip itself, come out of the stretch, have a little rest, and then try your 4-point glute stretch laying on your back. Good, let's take one last breath in and out here. Let's uncross the arms, bring the hands back to the mat. Start to pull yourself back on into the box. Good, let's change sides. Remember, you want neutral spine, so try to keep the tailbone from lifting and arching the back. From this position, draw the shoulders down, lengthen out the leg behind you. Keeping that nice neutral pelvis, cross the leg over the supporting ankle or shin. Hands push into the mat, you slide yourself back. Now, any point you can stop the stretch by bending that back knee and relaxing the back foot down onto the mat. If you want to, you can slide yourself all the way back and down. Come to the point where you can bend the forearms, cross over the palms, and rest the forehead down. Now just relax into this. Take a deep breath in, allow the upper body to round forwards. And on the exhale, sink the body down. You want to relax in so you could open up the side of your hip and your glute on that bottom underlying leg. Again, don't dump the weight forwards and down and let the upper body round over that knee. So you're really relaxing through the upper body too. Deep breath in and out. Lovely, last breath in and out here. Unfold the arms, come back to your box, slide yourself back on in. Good. From this positioning, we're going to come up into standing. So I'm coming up through downward dog. You could come up through standing lunge if you need. I'm turning on my T-zone, shoulders down, tucking the toes under. Now I'm going to start in my downward dog. So I want my abdominals, exhale to lift internally as I push into the front ball of my foot, lift my hips up and push back towards my heels. In this A-frame, you want your hips high, push back through your heels, drawing your heels down to the ground so that you can have a nice calf stretch. You could have soft or bent knees in this position too. You could hold for a breath in and out, or as long as you'd like, stretching out the back of the pelvis and the hamstrings. I'm slowly going to bend at my knees, and on the exhale, walk my hands back towards my feet. Now, as I come back to my hip width alignment through my feet, I'm going to let my hands dangle down in my forward fold and take a deep breath in. On a deep exhale, I'm going to start to scoop through the abdominals, press down through the heels as I start to roll my body, one vertebrae at a time upright, stacking on my pelvis and rolling tall. Now, as I lift my crown, I want to relax the shoulders back and down, take a deep breath in and out. Well done. Good. Let's do a little static hamstring stretch just to finish here. 1 foot forwards, 1 foot back. We want to keep hips facing in the same direction as the toes. Now I'm going to start by flexing the front foot, drawing the toes off the ground, pushing down through the heel. From this position, hands on my hips. I'm going to push my hips back and down, bending my supporting knee, coming into a nice hamstring seat. Place my hands on that front thigh of the bent knee. Good, keep pulling the toes up, push the bum back and down. Now the further the buttocks goes in this position, the deeper the hamstring stretch. You don't want to arch through your back, keep drawing the tailbone down, keep the chest lifted. Good, deep breath in and out, feel that nice hamstring stretch at the back of the leg, behind the knee and the pelvis. Deep breath in and out. Good. Let's bend at the front knee, place the toes down. Let's bring 2 feet back together and change sides. 1 foot forwards, 1 foot back. Lift yourself upright. Start by peeling the toes of the front foot off. Push the heel down. Take a deep breath in, hands on the hips. Begin to push the bum back and down. Now, as you bend that supporting leg, you can run your hands down your thigh. Rest just above the knee. Lift the toes up of the front foot. Push the hips back and down and breathe into that nice hamstring seat. Feel the stretch at the back of the body, behind the knee and the hip itself. Breathe in and out nice and deeply, chest lifted. Good. Let's start to bend at the front knee, place the toes down, shuffle back feet together. Well done. So we did a little bit of glute activation to begin with. That's a nice way to start any of your lower body exercises, or if you find that you need a bit more conscious effort to work those gluteals. Then we did some abduction and adduction series utilizing the band and the ball if you wanted. I've put on a little magic circle challenge, a 30-minute based Matwork exercise session just using the band, just using the circle. Can be switched out for the band. Have a go at that there. I'll see you next week. Bye.